All right, good evening. We're going to start with an invocation from Mr. Dennis Coyne. He is an Erlanger resident, a St. Barb's parishioner, and a member of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. So, Mr. Coyne, if you'd like to come up to the podium and press the red button.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you. Gracious God, we give you thanks for giving us another day. You have blessed us with good gifts. In thankful hearts, we express our gratitude. You've created us with opportunities to serve other people in their need, to share together in respect and affection, and to be faithful in the responsibilities we have been given. Bless the newly elected members of the City Council and the new mayor as they meet with their respective constituents, with gifts of wisdom and discernment, that in their words and actions, that they will do justice, love with mercy, and walk humbly with you. Bless the members and mayor who have been entrusted with the privilege to serve our city and all Erlanger neighbors in their need. Give them calm and confidence as they prepare for a role as servants to Erlanger. We challenge ourselves to compensate for our shortcomings and emphasize our talents and energies for the greater good. We dedicate ourselves, each in our own way, to a life of service and meaning. If we have the desire to please you at the heart of all we do, we will please you. We know that if we do this, you will lead us by the right road, though we may know nothing about it. Therefore, we trust you always, though we may seem to be lost in the shadow of death. We will not fear, for you are ever with us, and you will never leave us to face our perils alone. May all that is done be for the greater glory and honor of you. Amen.
Thank you, Dennis. I want to take a moment also, if you can please keep Councilwoman Patty Sudkamp in your prayers and your thoughts. She's very ill, and we want to make sure that we're giving her as many positive thoughts as we can. So I now call the January 15th, 2019 regular meeting of the City Council to order. Please go ahead and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great job. Okay. I'll ask Mrs. Hoffman to take roll, please.
Mr. Burke.
Here.
Mr. Cahill.
Here.
Miss Kyle.
Here.
Mr. Skidmore.
Here.
Miss Sudkamp. Miss Cahill.
Here.
Mr. Meyer. Miss Skidmore.
Here.
Miss Pitts. Mr. Nicely. Miss Reckers.
Here.
Mr. Hermes.
Here.
Thanks, Jerry. You've received a copy of the minutes for the December 4th, 2018 regular council meeting and the December 18th, 2018 special council meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to be made at this time? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion that we adopt as presented. Mr. Hermes, do I have a second? Rebecca Reckers. Motion carried. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sorry, guys. First time. All right. You've also received a copy of the agenda for the January 15th, 2019 regular council meeting. Are there any additions to be made at this time? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion that the agenda be adopted as presented. Mrs. Kyle? Do I have a second? Mr. Burke? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Okay, we're going to start with our special presentations. And first on our list is our business spotlight, Mrs. Young, and she is with Wirt Music. If you'd like to come up to the podium, the green lights are, or the red light's already on.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad to be here this evening, and way more people here than I thought there would be on a cold night, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about Wirt Music. I know we've been in Erlanger 46 years come March, but I'm not sure how many people really realize what we do on the corner of Commonwealth there. My parents, Jim and Imogene Wirt, who were teachers, started Wirt Music along with myself. It was my dream to have a music store. I was in school teaching or trying to become a band director to teach music, but I really wanted to open a music store since that's what I had worked on in my senior year. I got that in my mind that that's what I wanted to do. So we picked Erlanger because it was centrally located right in the middle of the top 3 counties. We stayed in Erlanger because, frankly, the police department was awesome and the fire department. Fortunately, we never had to use the fire department. But the police department, I remember one time somebody threw a brick through the window when we first went into the store we are currently in, and they were there in 20 minutes. Now granted, or 20 seconds, I'm so sorry, 20 seconds, not minutes, 20 seconds. But they were probably coming up Commonwealth to go somewhere else, but they were there. And we never had a problem after that, knock on wood. We opened as a guitar shop, selling Ibanez and Tama guitars. The guitar business was good, but I'm a band person, a trombone player, and it seemed like the school band business was the direction our customers were actually wanting us to bring in stock for the band, and that was the way it looked like we really needed to go. So that's the way we went. In 1982, my husband, Bob Young, started working in the store and began calling on schools. This changed things as more and more schools began to do business with us. Later on, my husband and I purchased Wirt Music from my parents in 1994 so they could retire. And then later on, my husband retired in 2001 due to health issues after working 20 years with the stores in northern Kentucky and in Cincinnati. His gift of gab and attention to the customer's needs made us what the industry calls a school music dealer. So if you walk in our store, you don't see a lot of high-end guitars. You see high-end band instruments and beginner band instruments, because most of the people that we deal with are parents and students in the 5th and 6th grade through the 12th grade. That's where our core presence is. We now have 2 locations, obviously the one in Erlanger, but we also now have one in Florence in the Oak Brook Plaza. We have quite a few lessons going out there. It's very, very packed with lessons most of the time. So both locations do offer the lessons, repair, sheet music, and instruments, either for sale or rent, and the accessories that go along with it. We carry top name brand instruments like Yamaha, Conn-Selmer, Bach, and Pearl, and if you're in music, you'll know what that is. We also do school bidding and leasing for the more expensive background instruments like tubas and baritones and timpani. We have 2 road reps that service the greater Cincinnati area. That includes as far north as Hamilton City Schools and far east as Lewis County and West Union in Ohio, and as far west, I should say, down the river towards Carroll County. Our primary purpose at Wirt Music is to encourage new band, orchestra, and music students. We provide support and service for band directors and other music teachers. We want all our students and customers, at the very least, to develop a love for music. The one thing that I hated hearing as our store was growing and growing was, I wish my mom had let me learn how to play an instrument. Some of the students that have grown up in our store and have gone on to work in music as teachers are, and some of you may be familiar with them, Bill Kidwell, who is the current band director at Gray Middle School, and he could retire at any time, so he's been with us a while. Shannon Stevens did retire from Hamilton City Schools up in Ohio. We had a Lloyd grad come through working for us, Michael Bruce. He's played drums in the Lloyd band, and he now teaches at St. Jude in Cincinnati. Dr. Jim Daughters, who taught in both Boone and Kenton County, and is now the band director at Arkansas Tech University. He said, when I demonstrated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the trombone, he said, I know that's what I want to play. He tells me that every time he sees me. My own daughter also played and grew up in the store, literally grew up in the store. And she played in the McDonald's All-American Band, went on to IU, and teaches now at Our Lady of Visitation in Cincinnati. And one thing I did want to say that doesn't have anything to do with us necessarily, but I want to thank you, Ms. Fetty. You reached out by email to invite me to the Erlanger Business Council. I hadn't had any contact like that, positive contact. And I want to thank you for that, because I didn't think of the council as a supportive group, or that there was even an Erlanger Business Council. And my mind has changed because you reached out to me, and I want to thank you for that. And I hope you're how many years are you up here? 4? I hope they're all great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Linda. I really appreciate it. And we love seeing you every Tuesday at the Erlanger Business Council. And my daughter Grace just started guitar lessons at Work Music. And that was all your idea. I loved that Christmas present idea, something really unique. So I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. All right, so next on the agenda is the Erlanger Lions starters football team. So do you guys want to come on up? All right, and we also have the Lions cheerleaders here as well. Thanks so much for being here, you guys. Are you excited? Yeah? It's exciting to have you here. I love seeing all these smiling faces. All right, so this is your proclamation from the mayor, okay? Now, you're each going to get a copy of it. Your coach has 50 copies for you guys, okay? So to all to whom these presents shall come. Whereas the Erlanger Lions starter football team, led by head coach Dara Webb and assistant coaches Chad Kreider, Devin Harney, James Hills, John McGuire, Dave Meyer, Kenny Pitcher, Jerry Reimer, Derek Robinson, Les Sebastian, and Emir Viveros, had an exceptional season in 2018. And whereas the Erlanger Lions starters football team defeated the Taylor Mill Eagles and the Fort Mitchell Spartans to win the Starter Bowl. And whereas the Erlanger Lions starter football team defeated the Fort Thomas Bluebirds, the Bengal Tigers, and the Boone County Little Rebels to win the Tiger Bowl, renamed this year to the River City Classic. And whereas the Erlanger Lions starters football team have won the River City Classic 6 years in a row, entering into greatness. And whereas the Erlanger Lions starter football team also won the first ever River City Classic Grand Championship by beating the undefeated River City Ducks. And whereas the Erlanger Lions starters football team was cheered on by the Erlanger Lions starter cheerleading squad, led by coaches Amber Schneider and Renee Hall. And whereas the Erlanger Lions starters cheerleading squad also placed first overall in their starter large division in the NKYFL cheer competition in October. Now, therefore, I, Jessica Fetty, Mayor of the City of Erlanger, Kenton County, Kentucky, do hereby proclaim January 16th, 2019 to be Erlanger Lions Starters Football Team Day in Erlanger, and do commend this observance to all our citizens, given under my hand and the seal of the City of Erlanger on this 15th day of January 2019. Congratulations, guys and girls. Okay. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next agenda item. I'm going to introduce Joe Christofield, please.
Hello, my name is Joe Christofield. I'm the PR manager for the City of Erlanger. And last month we held our annual Christmas lights contest. So tonight we're going to recognize first Bert and Melinda Brown of Fitzgerald Court. There, coming up, Mr. Brown. Bert and Melinda of Fitzgerald Court received the most likes on Facebook. So you will be receiving a certificate from the mayor, as well as a $50 gift card from Kroger. Thank you. Thanks. And we also have another winner who was selected by the Christmas Lights Contest Committee. That was Bill Tignor of Brightleaf Boulevard. And you all can use those gift cards to buy bread and milk for this weekend. Thank you.
next on the agenda is Fire and EMS Oath of Office. Chief Whitaker, I'd like to begin.
All right, good evening. This is always something that I enjoy doing, is swearing in new members. Because of my 32-year career, I still remember the night on November 2nd, 1987 that I got sworn in. So it's something that'll sticks with every member, I'm sure, across the board. Public safety, the night that you get sworn in. So, and as Jack said, it seems like we're hiring firemen all the time. Well, you know, there's something to be said for that, because we hire good, quality individuals. And other departments know the type of people that we hire. So they know when they get somebody that came from our department, they're qualified, they're reliable, and they're just good folks. So it's hard to keep people, but we have done it again. We've hired more good people. So tonight I want to swear in 4 new full-time members. We'll do this alphabetically, and then we'll be swearing them in due to certifications. First member I'm going to talk about briefly is James Blom. Come up here, James. And I'm going to have to pull out my 53-year-old vision here. Here we go. James is married to Erica. He will celebrate 13 years of marriage in May of 2019. He is a Beaver Creek High School graduate. Together, he and his wife have 2 children. You're okay, Landon. That's Landon. He's 9. That's Riley. Home for them is Wilmington, Ohio. James has been a member of several fire departments as a volunteer and part-time employee since 2016. This is his first, and we're going to do everything we can to make it his only full-time fire department. He was a contractor 16 years prior to becoming a firefighter. He is a state licensed official for wrestling, baseball, enjoys camping and woodworking. He's currently at paramedic school at Sinclair Community College in Dayton, Ohio, with a graduation date of December 19th. That is James. We will welcome him. Next member, Scott Rusing. Scott? If this face looks familiar, there's a reason. Scott has been here with us for the city of Erlanger for 18 years as a part-time member. 18 years, got a lot of seniority here. Finally decided to try to go full-time and was very successful. We know the character that Scott displays. We're excited to have him. He is a Newcath graduate and lives in Newport and is a volunteer lieutenant with the Southgate Fire Department. I know Scott worked a lot with us part-time, but I guess if you want to call it his full-time real job was working in HVAC. I think he's excited to be here. He enjoys fishing, shooting, camping. I know his mom and dad are here and his sister's family's here tonight to congratulate him. So let's welcome Scott to the fire. Joe, you want to come up? Joe Shuckman? Joe is a Villa Madonna graduate. He lives in Villa Hills and has been a member of the Crescent Springs Fire Department since 2012 and Gatlin County EMS since 2014. His father, Joe, is a former Villa Hills police officer, so if he looks familiar to some of you, that would be why. Currently attends Thomas More University, and you're also in Gateway in the paramedic program. So he's balancing all kinds of education, but talk with Joe, you know that's no worries on that department. And as part-time, he enjoys playing guitar. We could have tried to work out a deal with work there. They took off on us. And spending time with his friends. So we're very excited to have Joe join our department. This was done alphabetically, so last but not least. Brennan, do you want to come up? Brennan Slaughter is a Grant County High School graduate. He's married to his wife, Keisha. They have Rory and Riker. Hi, guys. He has been on the Dry Ridge Fire Department for 3 years, Owen County EMS for 2 years, and the Franklin County Fire Department for 6 months. He's a graduate of Frankfort Fire and EMS Paramedic School. And, oh, you're a Bengals fan. Oh, it's all right, buddy. Glutton of punishment, but we'll take you in. And we're excited to have Brennan. He will be the paramedic that we swear in as opposed to the 3 MTs. But let's first welcome Brennan to the department. The members that are going to hold the Bibles for the members, if you'd like to come up, unless they're already here. I think Joe's missing somebody. We'll go right up here.
Okay, so we're going to do firefighter and EMT first, and I'll read it off and you say I do. Do you, James Blum, Scott Rusing, and Joe Schutzman, solemnly swear to do your duty as a firefighter EMT for the city of Erlanger to the best of your ability, to serve your commanding officers with respect and dignity, to serve the citizens of the city of Erlanger with compassion, courage, and integrity, and to uphold the laws of the Constitution of the United States of America, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and the city of Erlanger. So help you God. Thank you. So firefighter, paramedic. Do you, Brennan Slaughter, solemnly swear to do your duty as a firefighter, paramedic for the city of Erlanger to the best of your ability, to serve your commanding officers with respect and dignity, to serve the citizens of the city of Erlanger with compassion, courage, and integrity, and to uphold the laws and constitutions of the United States of America, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and the city of Erlanger, so help you God. Next on the agenda is citizens or public comment. No one today. Okay. That's pretty good. All right. Next is mayor's report. Just have a couple of things to mention to you guys. I first of all want to say a huge thank you to the Erlanger voters for putting me into this position and trusting in me. I also want to say a huge thank you to the overwhelming welcome that I've gotten from the city staff throughout the past couple of weeks. I've truly enjoyed seeing all your faces almost every single day. And I love seeing the dedication that you have to our community. So thank you. The Public Works team over the weekend had a snow event, and I wanted to just say how much I appreciate everything that you guys do. I had the pleasure of going on the snowplow with Kevin Quinn, and he entertained all of my questions and gave me quite an education on the process, and I really appreciate that. So thank you, Kevin, and thank you, everybody that worked really hard over the weekend. And I heard you have another storm coming over the weekend, from what I heard, like 8 inches or something like that, something crazy. I also want to give a big thanks to Chris, Ralph, and Ed from the Public Works Department for doing a couple touches on the new office. So thanks for making me feel like home. I just want to let everybody know that we'll be spending the rest of the week in Lexington at the KLC new elected officials training. Ms. Reckers will be joining me as well as Mr. Hermes. And then Mr. Meyer will be attending in Owenton a couple of weeks from now. Earlier, I sent out an email to all of council and department heads going over an idea I've had for having an annual goal planning meeting every January. We're going to call this meeting a work session. So it'll be open to the public, but it'll just be an opportunity for council to talk about their goals that they want to accomplish throughout their term, and be able to link up resources within the departments, and make sure that we're budgeting accordingly. So it's basically to make sure that your vision is being heard by department heads, and we're looping those into the budget process. So I'm asking that we have this special meeting next Tuesday at 7 p.m. here in council chambers. So if you can mark your calendars, and if you haven't received my email, check your inbox. And if you have any questions, let me know. Just one quick update on the Erlanger Business Council. So in addition to our weekly networking meetings that we do every Tuesday in the library, the Erlanger Business Council is also going to meet the fourth Thursday of every month. The January meeting is going to be held on the 24th. This meeting is going to be more focused on community engagement and economic development. So the guest speaker for the 24th is going to be Natalie Rupert. She's the Workforce Development Manager for the Kenton County Library. She's going to walk through business owners on the Stream Center at the library, understanding all the different resources that are there. You can do so many amazing things there. You know, vinyl cutouts, posters, signs, screen printing for t-shirts, making buttons, all kinds of amazing things that are free to use for business owners. So she'll be able to go through that. And that's it. All right, now we have reports of committees. We have public safety. Mrs. Kyle?
Yes, I have a few things that I want to share. First of all, this happened in November. I don't know if you all remember, but our police were challenged to a no shave, and they contributed money for that. We finally totaled up. Our donation was $1,040, and this was donated to St. Jude in honor of Tim Koenig. That was his wish, that he wanted that money to go to that account. And then also we have a new program called the STAND program. It's replaced the DARE program. We had our first graduating class a few weeks ago. And also the Cocoa with a Cop, that was held around Christmas time here in the city building. And I think we had over 150 people attend that one in a 2-hour time. And one of the things that came about at that meeting was our social worker. We had an individual who really wanted to see her. They had a problem. And so it was kind of nice that they had that opportunity. And that's what these are for the people to come out and meet your police, meet the social worker. And so I just wanted to emphasize that it was really a neat thing that happened that way. And we are also having Coffee with a Cop this week, Saturday, at McDonald's, 9 to 11. So if you can attend, please come. Hopefully the snowstorm will hold off till we have our Coffee with a Cop. I don't know. The other thing that I am real happy to announce is January 10th was our first Erlanger Citizens Police Academy. It's the first time we've offered that in a few years. So we're excited about that, and I see people shaking their heads. I think, Linda, you were one that really wanted to join that program, and it is great. So I'm so happy that we've got that going again. And then one of our biggest events was Shop with a Cop, and we helped with Kenton County and Ellesmere, I think 34 children have a really nice Christmas. And then, of course, we just experienced another loss in the police community, Dale Woods, and our officers wore their memorial bands in honor of him. and I believe 11 of our police officers attended his funeral. So keep Dale Wood's family in your prayers. It's always so disheartening when something like that happens, if, you know, the police are such a close community. So we feel sorry for his family and hope that we will all remember them. Basically, I think that was the highlights that I wanted to bring up. So that's all, and our chief is in the house.
And next month, we'll have the stand graduation essay contest winners. They will be here, so that'll be exciting. All right, we have Public Safety, Fire, and EMS, Mr. Hermes and Mr. Nicely.
Yes, our council members received a report from Chief Whitaker via email on the 7th, and had time to review that. Is there anything else that you had to add this evening, Chief? All right, thank you. That's all.
Okay, Public Works, Mr. Skidmore and Mr. Cahill.
Yes, so just a quick summary. You did get one from Mr. Glenn for this month. Came through Kevin Quinn, but we're going to talk about the Capitol Street improvements, Narrows and Nelson Road improvement. Road construction is now complete. That was as of mid-December. It's reopened to vehicular traffic, and site restoration is going to be scheduled for the spring.
Yes, and the street sweeping was done before the snow. The crews completed sweeping the entire city. The program is done on a quarterly basis. Public Works crew collected leaves on each city street 4 times, starting in October and finishing in December. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Glenn?
Okay, Administration, Ms. Skidmore and Mrs. Cahill.
Yes, we have upcoming events. We have 2 free ice skating events. We've got one left, that's right. It's January the 20th, and it's 5:15 to 7:15 in Northern Kentucky Ice Center. It's limited space. You must be a resident of Erlanger, and you must bring proof of residency with you, and sign waivers required of anybody who's under the age of 18, either has to have adult with them or a signed waiver. And then we have on January the 29th, we have free bowling. It's from 6 to 8 at Super Bowl. This is a pre-registered event because it is limited, and you need to call 727-2525 Kim Walking and ask to pre-register for the January 29th free bowling. Again, proof of residency, even though you have signed up ahead of time, and waivers must be are there. You will get 1 free game and free shoes at the free bowling, and the ice skating, you will get free ice skates there, and then ice skating between 5:15 and 7:15. And the City of Erlanger will be open for business January the 21st, 2019. It's Martin Luther King holiday, and we're not going to be closed for that day. It will be open. And Sherry.
Okay, Finance and Business Development, Mrs. Reckers.
The fiscal year 2020 budget worksheets have been distributed to each of the departments, and the staff has begun preliminary work on the revenue estimates for this coming year. Each council member has also been sent a copy of the budget calendar for the preparation of the fiscal year 20 budget. In addition, each departmental meeting date has been set. Please be sure to mark your calendars for Saturday, March 2nd, which will be the date of the annual budget briefing. Each council member has been given a copy of the fiscal year 2018 audited financial statements. Our auditor, John Chamberlain from Van Gorder Walker Company and Inc., will be presenting the report at our February 19 committee meeting. Thanks. Mr. Bodie?
Codes, Building, and Zoning, Mr. Burke.
Yes, ma'am. I really don't have anything to report. Mr. Hahn did email all the reports out to everybody. If anybody has any questions, you can get with Dave. And Dave, do you have anything else? Thank you, sir.
Okay, you've heard the reports of our committees. Do I entertain a motion that we adopt as presented? Mrs. Reckers. And do I see a second? Mr. Hermes. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, reports of representatives. Are there any reports this evening?
Yes, I have a report on the Kenton County Alliance. The meeting was held January the 8th, 2019. The first meeting of the year was spent on what we achieved in 2018 and what we hope to achieve in 2019. There were 12 people in attendance. Our meeting started at noon and lasted until 1:50. The Engage publication for Erlanger and Ellesmere reaches 11,000 people quarterly. We discussed that some of the drug abuse involves young kids using medicine meant for pets and prescribed by veterinarians. We discussed how to present our drug facts information, and kindergarten was one of the ideas that was mentioned, that it might be a good time to get that information out to those parents. We discussed our disposable drug bags, the lock boxes for prescription drugs, sticker shock, which is alcohol resistance, and that usually comes out around prom time. We discussed different options for sticker shock. Keep it as it is, use a different approach, or do away with it. And we discussed that, Kenton County Alliance will be having their yearly meeting in February, so there won't be a regular meeting for the local in February, but our next scheduled meeting will be in March. And that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Skidmore. Anybody else?
I had one thing to add regarding the mayor's group meeting. I just wanted to mention and let everybody know that the mayors had, at the last meeting, they had voted and elected Mayor Fetty as part of the leadership team of the mayor's group. So congratulations.
Okay, now it's time for reports of city operations. City Engineer, Mr. Viox.
Yes, Mayor. You recall that our 5-year capital improvement program, that we accelerated the majority of the projects at the beginning of the year, fiscal year, all of which almost have all been completed and been paid for. So we only have 2 projects left to complete before the end of the year. One of those is a resurfacing program for the streets, and because of the significant savings we had in the earlier projects, the Public Works Department has added a couple of streets. So we are going to take bids on 3 streets for resurfacing to present to you at the council meeting next month. And that'll only leave one other project, which happens to be Turfway Road extension into Circleport. And that one is associated with the sidewalk program along Houston Road or Dahlberg Drive. And if we can work out a few details on that, we'll be taking bids on it in April. So we should be able to complete all the projects under the current capital improvement program, plus some streets. Plus, if you recall, we added Nelson Narrows Road, which was not in the plan. So we've done a significant amount of work in this past 6 months. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Viox. Mr. Gatlin, do you have anything to report?
Just briefly, Mayor. First, and this really has nothing to do with the report, other than it's hard to believe this is my 5th year. I'm going into my 5th year here, and I want to certainly thank Mayor Hermes, who put me originally in this hot seat.
Seems like 10.
10 years? Really? Well, we meet twice a month, so it's like double in Erlanger, right? Certainly Mayor Fetty, who has kept me in the seat, but also, as importantly, council, who really from day one, I feel like has adopted me into the Erlanger family. I know you hear that a lot, and people probably think, what are these people talking about? I'm involved in a lot of cities, and it's special here. It really is. The staff is phenomenal. Council's phenomenal. And the mayors are a lot more likable than some people think. I'm joking. They're very likable. Better shut up while I'm ahead, right? Huh? On legislation tonight. Tonight's my last meeting, I probably should say after that comment, right? So on legislation tonight, just a couple housekeeping issues. One is a municipal order where you all will be surplusing property, and the second is a housekeeping municipal order as it relates to the standing committees as you all are sitting here tonight. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gatlin. You're fired. I'm kidding. City Administrator, Mr. Kramer, do you have anything to report?
Yes, thank you. Commonwealth School Zone is coming along. We've kind of taken I guess the last 3 weeks have kind of stopped, but they do have the poles up and the power to the flashers. They just don't have any flashers yet, so I'm hoping by the next month that they can get that going. There's still a Bobcat out there for last month, so eventually they'll come back and get that. So hopefully they do the signs when they do it. Procedures this last month, just for the council members, if you could give me some feedback in regards to council elections, the oath of office, the introduction of new council members, where the staff's compiling the just procedures so we kind of keep consistent year after year. So if you could give me any feedback, positive or negative, that I can add to those procedures, I'd appreciate it for the staff. And that goes to say with everything throughout the year, but just specifically, since that's fresh in your mind, feel free to give us feedback. The only other thing I have to talk about is the Duke rate case for gas. They've requested an increase this year. They should know something by the end of March. They're planning to have it take effect the 1st of April of this year. They're proposing a 10.2% increase. The last time they did an increase was 2009. In 2009, they requested 14% increase, and they received 10.4%. Now, when they do request an increase, if you look at some of their data, it's not going to be percentages. They're asking for like 14 million or something, but it roughly equates to these percentages, so they might be a little off comparing on what you look at, but that's what it's going to look like for us. I'm estimating, just going off of 2009, and we did that when they did the raise last year in the electric. We kind of made it off of the 10 years before, which was very accurate. So it looks like the increase is probably going to be around 7 to 8% if everything stays the same with their previous rate cases. So we'll be looking for that increase, and we'll be projecting that in our budgets here for the next fiscal year. The good news is that it does come out in April, so it really won't hit too many people till the next winter, because we should be getting out of, hopefully by April we'll be out of the winter, but you never know around here. They did say 3 reasons. Their justification was to continue the accelerated service line replacement. They're still working on the Big Bone natural gas pipeline and then the digital metering technology. I did send out the more detailed thing to all council, and I'll have it placed on the website for citizens also. Pity anyone's questions, that's all I have.
I had planned on talking a little bit about that Duke rate increase as well. You know, one of the things that always kind of bothers me about those type of things is that they say it's because of the replacement of old infrastructure and things like that. And I know that job probably never ends, but you know, I know that none of us are going to see the rate go back down when they get caught up. So something that it always kind of bothers me when they're asking for these increases. And they certainly need to hear from everyone here in this room. There is a public meeting at Dixie Heights High School on the 24th of this month at 5:30 p.m. And I would certainly recommend that people show up to voice their opinion on that. They need to hear from us, and they need to know the impact that that's going to have on everybody. There also is a hearing in Frankfurt. I'm sorry, maybe I have these dates wrong here. There's a hearing on on February 5th at 9 a.m. in Frankfurt. And that same day is also going to be a hearing for our Northern Kentucky Water District. They're planning on raising our rates 11% this year and another 10 to 11% next year. So our water is going to get a whole lot more expensive as well. So it's certainly something that I would encourage people to get involved, and if you have any questions or want to be a part of that, feel free to let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you've heard the reports of our representatives in city operations. Do I entertain a motion that they be adopted as presented? Mrs. Kyle, and do I have a second? Mrs. Reckers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Next is correspondence. Mrs. Hoffman, do you have any correspondence this evening?
I do. The General Government Department received thank you letters from the Erlanger Ellesmere School Resource Centers, Family Resource Centers, and Health Services, thanking the employees and an anonymous Erlanger resident who made donations to their organizations during the holiday season. The city received a thank you letter from Bill Howard and the Erlanger United Methodist Church thanking the city for being a collection site for their annual Community Kindness Drive. And Director Glenn received an email from Erlanger resident Mark Weber commending Dale Wilson on his quick work in getting a curb replaced.
Thank you. Bids tonight, Mrs. Hoffman, Mr. Viox, are there any bids?
No, ma'am.
Old business. Does anybody have any old business to discuss? Okay. Does anybody have any new business? Mr. Skidmore?
Yes, I'd like to thank the police department and their social worker. They worked on a project about a week or so ago with some homeless in a wooded area. They done a real nice job. It was amazing. So I'd like to thank them for their job well done.
Thank you, Mr. Skidmore. Okay, so now we'll move on to legislation.
All right, first we have a municipal order for surplus property. It's a municipal order of the City of Erlanger and Kenton County, Kentucky, making the written determinations required by KRS 82083 for the sale or other disposition of property owned by the city pursuant to the statute. We have outlined on the second page the Excel spreadsheet, the Google Docs spreadsheet. One of these days I'm going to get it right. We don't have Excel in our library. The property that's being disposed of and what the disposal method is. Does require a motion.
Do I entertain a motion to adopt this municipal order as read? Mrs. Skidmore, and do I have a second? Mrs. Kyle, any discussion? Mr. Hermes?
I had a quick question for regarding the police surplus of the office equipment. It says that it's going to be turned over to another governmental agency, and I wanted to check and see which agency that was.
It's the Erlanger Ellesmere School District.
Oh, okay. And is it something that you think we may have been able to get payment for? Or, I mean, could they have paid something for it? Okay. Oh, okay. 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 All right. Thank you, Chief.
Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, next we have a municipal order of the City Council of the City of Erlanger in Kenton County, Kentucky, establishing committees and the membership thereof and authorizing the referral thereto for the recommendation thereof, any subject presented to the City Council for their consideration. In summary, it shows that the City Council committees with the different standing committees and then the members of each. We need a motion on this.
Okay, do I entertain a motion to adopt this municipal order as read? Mr. Cahill? And do I have a second? Mrs. Kyle? All in favor say aye. Or any discussion?
Yeah, I had one thing. I would like to request that we discuss this at the next council committee meeting. And really, I think the process in which we determine which council members are in which committees. I think the process that we went through this past time was good, but it's not set in stone. I mean, there's not an ordinance or anything that talks about the process that we do. I know Mrs. Sudkamp had said this is the way we always do it, but I think it was the first time that we did it this way.
So creating a process moving forward.
Yeah, yeah. Discuss it in the committee meeting and perhaps create an ordinance that would set it in stone.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Do I entertain a motion to adjourn? Mr. Burke, Mrs. Reckers, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Motion carried.